In this lesson, we'll cover how we can export video from the timeline panel. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so here we have our DT text that we animated using a layer style in lesson 6. Now at the end of that lesson, I actually showed the rendered video just so we could see it just a little bit more fluidly. When we actually preview it here in the timeline, we sometimes won't see it as fluidly as it will be when it's rendered out. So to render out a video, we can come down here to the bottom screen left, and you'll see this little arrow right here, this little button. If we click on that, we're given our render video dialog box, and we just have some different settings in here that we're going to cover. Up here we can choose the location. In this case, we can I'm just have it set to where it'll export to the desktop. And then down here we can basically adjust the overall document size, the quality, the format. Usually H.264 is a sure bet for great quality, and it's guaranteed to be compatible with both Mac and PC. And this for preset, by default it's set to high quality, but there's just a whole bunch of different presets that you can choose from in here, whether you want to save it to YouTube or Vimeo. And some of those options are probably off your screen right now, but if you're in the render video dialog box, they're towards the bottom. So again, you can really choose the quality based off of where your video is basically going to be played. If it's going to be on your Apple TV or an Android tablet or phone, or if it's again going to go to YouTube or Vimeo, you can choose one of those different settings. So they've really included as many as they can there to choose from. Now I don't recommend really messing with the document size. That basically reflects your work area that you already have for whatever video you might be working on. So if you come in here and make any changes to this, it may completely distort your video. You can also choose the frame rate. So right now it's set to 29.97 frames per second. That's basically for like TV. TV is usually 29.97. However, you could come in here and you could change it to say 24, which is more for film. So again, you have that option there. And then we also have field order, which by default it's set to progressive. And then you also have upper first and lower first. And so this would be more it's a little bit more old school. Upper first is where it's basically reading every other row of pixels from the top down, and then vice versa for lower first, whereas progressive, it's basically reading everything. So if you recall, maybe when you were a kid with some of the older TVs and you would pause the TV if you're watching like a VCR tape, and you get those weird little glitches, kind of weird little glitches on the screen. That's because of it's either going by upper first or lower first as far as the pixels being basically displayed or read. And then we also have some options here you could to color manage. Down here in range, you can basically have it set to where it exports your entire work area. So again, that's basically from this bracket to this bracket. So if we were to adjust those brackets, bring them in, it's going to only render what's in between those two little gray brackets for your project area. Or you can set it to start from a specific frame and end at a specific frame, or just click all the frames, okay? And of course, if you're working in 3D, which we really haven't covered any 3D in this course, but it seems that we have some options down there as well. So there's quite a few options just here to pick from. You probably will want to really focus on frame rate and presets. I would leave it at H.264. That's usually, again, a pretty good sure bet to go with as far as it being compatible if you're transferring your video from a PC to a Mac or vice versa. And then, of course, again, we have a lot of different presets to pick from. So these are just some different options that we have to pick from here. We'll go ahead and leave them at their current settings, and all we have to do now is hit render, and it'll start to render out our video. And in this case, it's saved as an MP4. And so just bringing up our video here, we can just click play, and there we can see. And so this particular video is 1280 by 720, which is basically our work area. If you want to check your work area while you're working on whether you're animating some text, in this case using animating some layer styles, or if you're working on video, just come up here to image and go to image size, and it'll tell you right here in your dimensions. You can see it's 1280 by 720, and then you can also see it just as a document size here as well. All right, so in the next lesson, what we're going to talk about fixing some broken project links that you may run into, especially if you're using a lot of different videos or other media in your timeline project. And so we want to kind of address that in case there's any kind of confusion, especially with the project files that are included in this course. So stick around and we'll see you in our next and final lesson.